The sky was still dark when Grandma got up earlier than usual. Something had woken her, a distant sound that mingled with the whisper of the wind. She walked to the orchard, where the Chicago air motor windmill was turning gently, drawing water from the old well. She stood silently, listening intently. "That sound," Grandma murmured nostalgically. "Many years ago I heard it for the first time." Uncle Augustine, who was lighting the wood to heat water, looked up. "What are you talking about, sister?" Grandma turned to him with a melancholy smile. "When I was a child, Mom told me about a special melody that only appeared when the dawn wind blew a certain way. I heard it myself once, but I never knew where it came from until today. It's the windmill. It's singing its melody." The children, who had just woken up, listened with curiosity to the conversation and ran to the orchard. "Does the windmill sing?" asked Tomas, his eyes wide. "I don't hear anything," said Sophia, tilting her head. "Because it's not a song like that of the birds," replied Grandma. "It's a melody that hides between the windmill's blades and the wind." The children were fascinated by the idea and, together with Uncle Augustine, sat near the windmill to listen. Every now and then, the wind changed direction, and the sound produced by the blades varied slightly, as if it were part of a forgotten symphony. "Maybe the whole melody is in the wind, waiting to be discovered," whispered Grandma. Deciphering the windmill's melody, Uncle Augustine scratched his chin thoughtfully. "If the windmill is singing, there must be a way to understand its message. We can imitate the melody," Lucas suggested. "Maybe if we repeat it, we can make sense of it." The children began to whistle and hum, trying to match the tones produced by the wind. At first, they were just loose sounds, but then, almost without realizing it, the melody began to take shape. It was then that a mockingbird, a gray-breasted, thin-beaked bird that always perched on the windmill tower, began to sing. Its trill matched perfectly with the sounds of the wind and the windmill's blades. "Listen," the grandmother exclaimed excitedly. "The mockingbird knows the melody." The children and Uncle Augustine stopped humming to listen. The bird continued its song, accurately repeating each note that floated through the air. The grandmother, her eyes shining, began to softly hum the melody that her mother had taught her when she was a child. As she did so, the windmill seemed to respond. The wind blew harder and the blades spun faster without anyone touching them. And then, something amazing happened. The dawn sky glowed with more intense colors. Pinks, oranges and golds lit up the horizon. A soft voice seemed to emerge from between the blades of the mill, like an echo carried by the wind. A long, long time ago, when this town did not yet exist, the wind was the guardian of the dawn. The children looked at each other in surprise. Was the mill telling a story? The voice continued. The first settlers of this valley followed the melody of the wind to know when to sow and when to harvest. Here, where this mill is today, there was a well. The water that flowed from it gave life to the orchard, and the wind that blew in this place brought with it the story of the town's first dawn. That is why, when they built the mill, they decided to do it right here, so that the wind and the water would never stop talking to each other. The children were amazed. "So," Sophia murmured, "the mill does not only draw water from the well. It also holds the memory of the village." Grandma nodded, moved. "The wind, the water and the earth have always worked together. That is why this place is so special. The melody we hear is the echo of that first sunrise." When the story ended, the mill turned normally again, as if it had never spoken. But something had changed in everyone's hearts. "We can't let this story be lost again," Lucas said. "We must teach the melody to all the children in the village." Uncle Augustine smiled and put a hand on his hat. "I think it's a great idea. And we must also take care of the garden, the mill and the well, so that the wind never stops singing." From that day on, at every special sunrise, the children of the village gathered at the mill to listen to the melody of the wind. And Grandma, with patience and love, taught them the melody she had learned from her mother, making sure that the story of the village's first sunrise would never be forgotten again. The mockingbird, from the top of the windmill, kept repeating the melody over and over again, as if he wanted to make sure that no one would ever forget it. If you liked the story, please subscribe to our channel, leave us your comments and a like, that motivates us and helps us create and deliver many more stories for children, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload a new story. Thank you for your visit. Have a nice day.